What is going on, everybody? It is your boy SK. This is Purple and Skull Media, and I'm here with a special guest today, Jason Harmon from SKOL'd Network. You may see him on there on Vikes Now YouTube channel, and we're gonna get right down to it right after this. What is going on, everybody? Welcome into another show here on Purple and Skull Media. It is your boy SK. Again, I'm here with special guest Jason Harmon from the SKOL'd Network. How's it going, Jason?
Good, relatively. I will say if I look sweaty, pale, and sound like I'm dying, it's because I have the flu and I'm not comparing myself to Michael Jordan for sticking to this pre-scheduled arrangement because I know we've been trying to link up on here for a minute. But I think if people want to call me Michael Jordan, I won't be mad.
Yeah, this is the flu podcast, not the flu
Yeah.
game. This is the flu podcast. So you
Brother,
guys,
when you have a 1-year-old in daycare, every podcast is the flu podcast. This one's just the worst.
hey, yeah, wait till you get toddlers. Wait till he's a toddler,
Oh,
man.
he's a toddler now. Now that he's one, dude. Oh,
It gets
crazy.
worse. It gets better and it gets worse at the same time, if that
Oh,
makes
that's on
sense.
the daily, dude. Like 10 every 10 minutes.
So, but yeah, me and Jason go back, well, not super far, but at least what, a year now. We linked up at the ever so exciting Raiders game in Las Vegas this past season, and took an absolute epic picture with the astronaut helmet, and that will go down in history, and we'll put it up in the rafters when we get a chance. Um
Still mad some kid stole my helmet, dude. The whole
yes.
25 bucks on Amazon wasted.
Yeah, just as quick as you bought it. It was just as quick as Josh Dobbs made his way out of Minnesota, unfortunately, but it was fun while it lasted. But it's
Something
the
like that.
2024 season now. We have a new team to talk about. Hopefully, we won't have the quarterback carousel that we had last year with having to bring in Josh Dobbs, whether it was fun for a couple weeks or not. Let's hope Sam Darnold's good enough and stays healthy enough to be the quarterback for the entire season. But we just had roster cuts 2 days ago. I know we may be a little bit late for a lot of you guys because you guys like the immediate reactions. But 53-man roster is set now, and it wasn't officially set until maybe a couple hours ago because we made a last-minute move, which we'll talk about a little bit after this. But most surprising move to you on these 53-man roster cuts?
I mean, I think the most surprising, you could go one of two ways. I think Kenne on the surface was. Brev, my co-host on Scotial, and I had some disagreements. I thought the new kickoff rules would help him, but he did make a really good point, and I've seen a couple others bring this up, like Judd on Purple Daily. Um, but with the new kickoff, having more like a traditional blocking scheme that you can kind of predict and plan for. Kenny's vision as a ball carrier, at least as a running back, has always been the knock on him. So would that kind of also make its way into the kick return game? Maybe that was part of the decision, but seems like the news today with the Saints already not signing him because of a failed physical. That probably hints at something. I don't know. He didn't return really any kicks during the preseason, no, but he did get some carries.
Yeah, he definitely got some carries at running back. No returns that I remember in preseason necessarily. And with the whole failed physical with the Saints, I think Quasey and this coaching staff, they knew something, so
They
that's
knew
why they
something.
kind of
Yeah.
they did make that cut, or they did waive him. I mean, if the guy's not healthy, then you got to move on. And I think Miles Gaskin, who was reported and actually announced today as the kick returner and the running back three. So I don't think he's on the active roster just yet, though, right? He's still on the practice squad.
No, I know we're gonna talk about some other stuff later. I think this new system with like designated for return, and I think you only get two of those guys, stuff like that, and then the pup and the IR. I think you're gonna see some I don't know, gamesmanship with who's cut, who's on the practice squad, if they're really going to be on the practice squad for how long, right? So, I mean, if Gaskin said to be RB3, it looked like he earned it. And kick return, I guess I didn't really ever, just because like unless somebody breaks off like a 50-yard run like Adrian Peterson, you never really get to see just true outright speed at the running back position unopposed like you could
Yeah.
potentially on a kick return. So I'm curious to maybe dive into some of his like just pure metrics as far as speed and stuff and see how it translates. But Kenny was just fast. You could put the ball in his hand.
Mhm.
As long as no one was around him, that guy was going yard. So
Yeah, and I felt like Kane is a lot more of that straightaway speed, which on a
yeah.
traditional kick return, it's you see the hole, you hit the hole, and you're gone. With this new kind of kick return setup, it doesn't seem like you can. I mean, I'm sure it'll help to have that straightaway speed, but you got to have a lot of lateral speed too, as far as okay, I
Yeah,
got to hit the
decision
edge.
making.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Miles Gaskin may fit into that a little bit more. But I also think a guy like was Malik Knowles brought back to the practice squad? I believe he was, right?
I think so. They released another receiver today. I'm trying to think if it was him who got
No, it
released.
was Jashawn Jones. That's who
Got it.
they
Dude,
waived.
we had so many receivers past like anyone past Thayer Thomas and Lucky Jackson, like I couldn't keep track of.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're all talented as well. So got some comments in here. What's up, Julian? Welcome in. Adam tapping in as always. What's up? What's up, Adam? Thank you for tapping in with us. Um, but yeah, I mean, we're gonna miss Kane. I think again, and we're gonna touch on this later too, when we go over our next segment. Is a lot of Vikings fans have this infinite loyalty to guys that the Vikings draft. And I get it, but at the same time, it's like, okay, well, the team's got to make the best move for them. And obviously, that Kane move I think was mainly due to injury and not being able to pass this physical. I don't necessarily think it was his play because I mean, we haven't seen him in the new kick return setup. We haven't
Maybe
seen
there's a
anybody.
reason for that though. I mean, yeah, I'm sure they tried it in camp, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, they could have. I mean, but you can't really go full speed in camp like you want to.
yeah.
So it's kind of hard. Again, we're not the coaches, we're not the
Oh,
scouts, or
100%.
we're not there making these decisions. In my opinion, I would have liked to see Kane in that, that setup, new kick return setup. But again, I think it's more so his injury, and then on top of it being a new kick return system, you got a guy in Miles Gaskin who's handled that before, and a guy in Brandon Powell who's handled that before, who was announced as a punt returner as well. So you have guys that are able to do it. And I also look at kind of the wild card here is CJ Ham. I understand he's not a running back. He's our fullback, but he plays a position in fullback that we don't use on our offense. So he's
Yeah.
that important to the locker room. He's that important as a captain. Then he's got to stay on the team. And in my opinion, he's considered running back 3, quote unquote, because we don't use a fullback that much. So
Well, if we
I
give him
kind
the
of
ball.
yeah, I mean, I just lump them in with the running back group at this point.
I think that's fair.
I don't even consider fullback anymore as a position for this specific offensive scheme that KOC runs. Because last year we went over this in the Purple Parlor with Realistic Randy and Rap, is that he played 19% of offensive snaps last year. 19. I mean, that feels like more than what it really was. And I think he's going to turn more into like a H back kind of tied in, at least until TJ Hawkinson gets back. That's what I see KOC doing with CJ Ham, because there's no other reason to pay CJ Ham what we're paying him at the fullback position, and only playing him less than 20% of snaps on the offensive side of the ball, which doesn't make sense. So again, running back 3, Miles Gaskin. Kane, we're going to miss you, my guy. But again, it was the right decision by this team and by this coaching staff. So we move on. Miles Gaskin is the kick returner. Brandon Powell is the punt returner. And Miles Gaskin looks like he's going to be running back 3, which I'm not opposed to. I've seen Miles Gaskin have some pretty good games as a pro at the running back position, being a starter. So definitely not opposed to that. I would like to have Cam Akers, but it is what it is. That's my guy.
Yeah,
But
that one was a tough decision to make, but ultimately I think probably about equal at the end of the day between
yeah,
him and Gaskin's not coming off that type of injury. So
like his
I could
fourth
understand.
ACL or something like that.
Yeah, I could
Just
understand it.
ridiculous. So got some more people popping in. Papa Gary, thanks for tapping in. All our guys, looks like everybody here is going to be at Skull Fest. Jason's going to
Let's
be at
go.
Skull Fest as well. I don't
Yes,
know, were you
sir.
going to have the baby with you, or you coming out solo?
Oh no, my wife and my very
He's like, oh, they're
excited
there.
1-year-old. Oh, he'll be there. He's
So the whole
excited.
crew's going to
If
be
there's a
there.
gritty contest like last year, I don't think he'll hit the gritty, but he'll get out there and do something.
We'll most definitely have a gritty contest this year. So be on the lookout if you want to win something. Get your gritty right. You got 2 weeks to get it down, guys. But thanks for tapping in, Gary. Sodak Kid, thank you for tapping in as always. But let's move on to our next subject. Obviously, earlier today, and this is kind of a subject that I've been talking about all week, this particular player, Jaren Hall being waived. Jaren Hall has been waived, and we signed Brett Rippin. Rippin? Is that how you pronounce it?
Ripien.
Rippin.
I've heard different pronunciations.
So yeah, so we pretty much just swapped out QB3s. The Bears, I believe, released him or waived him to make him a free agent, put him through waivers. We picked him up and let go Jaren Hall with the hopes of bringing him back on the practice squad. Now, Jaren Hall, even to me, had a pretty good preseason. I think it was a pretty impressive preseason for him, although he was going up against guys that probably don't have jobs in the league right now. But he had a pretty good preseason. So you got to give him credit there. I think everybody felt that he was going to make this team, especially when the initial 53-man roster came out and he was listed as QB3. But we make kind of this last minute move to bring Brett Ripien, whatever the hell his name is, in. How do you feel about that? Where was your kind of level of confidence
Bro,
in Jaren Hall and what he did?
I got what did Jaren Hall do to you? Like
Nothing.
why?
Nothing. He didn't do anything to me.
You were
I
victory lapping so hard earlier. I was
Hey,
like, dude,
because I
what?
called the
What's the
thing is
beef,
that
bro?
people, if I were to ask you, if Sam Darnold goes down, who do you want starting at quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings? You want Mullins or do you want Jaren Hall?
It depends. Here's the thing: is Nick Mullins? I I can't logically explain the Nick Mullins experience because none of us can. Like it's 1 in 3 chance he's getting sacked, throwing a pick, or throwing a 20-yard, at least 20-yard completion. Like
Yeah,
it is
20 plus yards.
incredibly entertaining when you know you aren't going to make the playoffs probably at
Mhm.
that stage, right? Um, Jaren Hall, when I went to that game against Green Bay, I was like really hyped to see him play because I thought, I had watched the Falcons game literally at the NASCAR championship. I'm just in the stands watching the Falcons game. And I thought on that first drive before he like gave himself a concussion, he looked really good and I thought he looked fine in preseason. Um, I don't know. I think there's something there that could be built off of. My whole thought is I think this is a nothing burger because I think he's hurt, and again, it's a designated to return situation. You get limited spots. Because if you listen, you know how it is being an out-of-state Vikings fan, and I'm guessing you probably use NFL Plus or stream from NFL Plus. The preseason games, I had to watch
Mhm.
the Eagles broadcast because they were the home team. So then I open it on my phone and put the Vikings radio broadcast on so I could listen to Paul Allen have KOC join him. And you could tell when he got hurt, KOC's like, hold on, I'll be back. Like it was a little more, I don't want to say serious, but
Mhm.
like they took him out of the game. Like there was something there. So I think this is more like hey, he's hurt. He's an inconsistent young quarterback. Teams probably are pretty set at quarterback and have made their decisions. We think we can cut him and not worry about teams picking him up, and then we can bring him back. I also would not be shocked if that's the same philosophy with Kene and that they knew
Mhm.
we would fail a physical and that they'd be okay bringing him back on the practice squad. I don't know, but I think it's a little bit of a chestnut checkers situation just to have a guy they can develop still. They want him around, but because he was injured, it's just, do you want an active roster spot taken up? That's my read. I could be wrong,
Yeah.
but I just, after, like you said, him having a pretty impressive preseason given the circumstances, and especially doing pretty well this last week, I can't imagine they would just cut him at the last second for no
Yeah.
other reason.
Yeah, I mean, my thing with Hall, I have nothing against the guy personally, anything. It's mainly the people that have this infinite love for Jaren Hall. And it goes
The
back to what I
Mormon
said,
Mahomes.
Mormon Mahomes or Jaren Mahomes Hall, whatever they want to say. But it goes back to what I said earlier in the show is that Vikings fans, not all of them, but a lot of them have this infinite loyalty to guys that we drafted, regardless of the circumstances. They're just, oh, well, he's the next QB2. He's not. He's a quarterback 3 slash practice squad quarterback. Now, I did say next year he could be better than Mullins. If he's still on this roster and he continues to improve, he can be a better quarterback than Mullins. And I think that strictly comes down to being able to not turn the ball over like Mullins does
100%.
so much. And I think that's the main thing that people have issues with Mullins is you just turn the ball over way too much. Outside of that, the dude slings the damn ball around the field. Like, regardless of his size or regardless of his resume or history, the guy can sling the damn ball. He just turns over the ball a little too much. So, my thing with Jaren Hall is that he is a quarterback 3 slash practice squad guy right now. Where did all this love, like he's going to be our next franchise quarterback, come from to where people are sitting here like hands on the face? Like, why did we cut or waive Jaren Hall?
I
What
can
is
tell you.
wrong with the Vikings?
I mean, let's be honest. Here's the exact reason, right? Is since Teddy, and really since Teddy got hurt, and we kind of knew that that was done. Even when we signed Kirk, people wanted to know who was next, right? They
Yeah.
wanted a young quarterback to get excited about. Unfortunately for us, the highest we drafted anybody was in the 3rd round, and it was Kellen Mond,
Oof.
right? Other than that, we had a few
Oof.
guys we brought in the 6th or the 7th. Dude, I was hyped
Mhm.
about Kellen Mond because his college tape looked really interesting, but I think everything that could have gone wrong there went wrong. Another story for another time. But after that, I think what we got Jaren Hall in the 4th or 5th, one of those
Fifth.
later mid round. I think 5th, yeah.
Fifth, yeah.
And I obviously, dude, once camp started, nobody was talking about Jaren Hall. Everybody was talking about JJ. But
Yeah.
then when JJ got hurt, all of a sudden it's okay. You regress back to Sam Darnold's your quarterback with no set, viable, exciting backup.
Hmm.
Somebody explained earlier you can't just hit the JJ McCarthy button to revive the team now.
It'd be nice.
So which one, the chaos, or the potential of a second-year player who looks like he's developed? I think it comes from
Yeah.
that mixed with self-deprecating meme humor, which is my market. So admittedly, I'll, go into that. Like even during the preseason game, I posted like a breaking news Jaren Hall. Like I took the Jaren Hall named Week 17 starter and just put named starter for life on it. And like that blew up because people, I think, kind of laughed at it. But I think it's a little mix of just like self-deprecating humor, but also there is that hope for like, man, we had JJ McCarthy, now he's out. Now I'm back to overhyping mid-round young quarterbacks and just hoping one of them can be something. I think we
Yeah.
just in the course of a couple weeks, and I'm guilty of this too, we regressed back to desperately wanting a young good quarterback.
Yeah, and again, going back to JJ McCarthy and this whole quarterback conundrum thing, going into training camp, Sam Darnold was the planned starter going into
Oh
week
yeah.
1. And I get that. And this is kind of segue to our last segment here. But as time went on, obviously JJ McCarthy, not only in that one preseason game that he performed, but throughout training camp and throughout off-season workouts and mini camp and everything, he was extremely impressive. And from Ben Gosling, he says, I heard some things over the weekend that made me think the JJ McCarthy development had moved up enough that it didn't seem like anybody was going to have reservations about putting him on the field this year. I think I had thought at the beginning of the year, hey, if he has to sit a whole year, they'd probably be okay with that. I think they still would have been okay with that, but I think he had done enough that they thought he could play him a little bit sooner if we needed to do it. So, and this is not just the fan base. This is the coaching staff that probably saw a lot more than what we did. Is that he was on a trajectory to win this starting quarterback position. So that makes this sting a little bit more than what it already has. I believe he was going to start week 1 if he continued to perform the way he was performing on and off the field. I mean, the guy is just a natural leader, just a pure leader, has that it factor. I say this every time speaking about JJ McCarthy, even before he was drafted by the Minnesota Vikings. He has that it factor. And there may be people out there that say, that it factor, it's not a real thing. That's just made up. No,
Oh, it is.
it's a real thing. And I'll be honest, that's the one thing that I felt Kirk Cousins lacked as a quarterback. He didn't necessarily have that it factor where he just had all those natural qualities to be a leader, to be your franchise guy. I mean, Kirk was great. He can make any throw out on the field, whether it be an out route, whether it be a corner, whether it be a flag route, whatever it is. He can make any throw on the field. But having that it factor in the way you carry yourself goes a long way, and it makes a huge difference. And JJ McCarthy had that to go along with being able to make those throws on the field and be able to move with his feet as well. So just with that news, it kind of stings a little bit more because the coaching staff and this organization were seeing the same exact things that the fan base was seeing and saying, you know what? This guy might be starting week 1. We have everybody around him. We have the offensive line. We have the weapons. It seems like we have the defense coming together now. So, I mean, in your eyes, do you think JJ McCarthy was going to start week 1?
No, just because here's my thought process is I never fully bought into he'll sit the whole year. I would have understood it. It would have made sense. Now I have to accept it. Um, by no choice of any of us.
Right.
But I never thought him starting week 1 would be a good decision because KO has always said, like, we're going to do what's best for him. I think this team, although a lot of pieces are coming back, like, we're starting without Hawk, who is a major identity and, frankly, safety blanket of this offense.
Yeah.
We're changing wide receiver 3. We're changing our left guard, right? We have a new running back who is either going to boost us a lot or do what running backs his age do and show some regression. But hey, you get us 1 touchdown this year, I'm happy. But
Celebrate.
all of these things that are kind of this team already has an identity on offense, but there's tweaks along with going up against an absolute gauntlet of a schedule the first 8 weeks. I think would have been difficult no matter how great JJ looked to say, hey, this is the best possible thing. Even the vets are figuring out what's going on. Why don't you go figure it out with them as a rookie against some of the toughest competition in the league this year? Obviously, I'm not including the Giants in that outside of Dexter Lawrence, who I'm really glad he won't be going at McCarthy
Yeah.
with our interior line. But I always thought he would play after that gauntlet stretch if Sam Darnold wasn't performing, because there's still part of me that thinks Darnold could have a resurgence here. I hope he does. I'm not really spewing that rhetoric because I don't want to be let down. But I'm also trying to stay optimistic enough where I'm not just already checked out till 2025, which I know probably for guys like you or me who are fully on the McCarthy train, it's a little tempting. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I think he probably would have played sometime in late October, early November, especially if Kwesi was trying to prove he was worth keeping around. You know, that in case of emergency, break open JJ McCarthy latch probably
Yeah.
would have been tempting. But I think it would have. Could he have, like you said, he has the it factor. Could he have handled those first 8 weeks? Yes. Do I think it would have been the best case scenario to put him in? No,
Probably not.
personally, because that's hard competition, and you're still figuring out a lot about this team. What is the running game going to look like? Who's going to be your
Mhm.
tight end for the first 4 to 6 weeks? Is our wide receiver 3 position actually set, or is it going to be a bunch of guys rotating in or going back to Powell?
Interior offensive line.
Correct, because Powell is a very different wide receiver 3 than somebody like Jalen Naylor or
Mhm.
even like Tristan Jackson. Like,
My guy.
they're all sized differently. They all have different skill sets, right? Like, you really want to put a rookie coming in that situation against the toughest competition. I think that would have been just a little too risky. Way more risk than benefit, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I can't disagree with you there, but I wouldn't have been surprised if he was named the starter week
Yeah,
1
it
with
wouldn't have been
how
shocked.
with how he was looking and everything. I mean, I don't think anybody would be displeased with with having
Oh,
our
I would have been happy. Like, trust me,
yeah.
we're going to the home opener. Like, I want to see. Like, I'll probably still wear my McCarthy jersey if I don't get a Will
Oh yeah.
Eggert jersey in the meantime.
Yeah.
But like, I just need to know if he's going to change his number.
Yeah.
Hope he does. But like, the fan part of me is like, yay, give me JJ McCarthy. But like, the logical
Mhm.
side is like, hey, let's look at the division. Let's scope out the NFC. Let's scope out. Let me try to get out of the thing I got mad at other people doing and being this year focused only and immediate success focused only. I would have probably wanted to wait from a logical perspective, but emotionally, I would have been just yelling to put him in
Yeah.
every single play.
Yeah, no, it's tough. It's tough to look past the season that hasn't even started yet and saying 2025's gonna be our year and JJ McCarthy is gonna be the starter and to just kind of, simulate through that first
Yeah,
2024 season.
bro, I wish we could, dude.
But again, us as Minnesota Vikings fans, we all know this that it would be so on brand for the Vikings to go out there and Sam Darnold not necessarily have an MVP type year, but have a career year under center and then lead this team to the playoffs and us end up losing in the first round anyways. I mean,
Oh yeah,
it would just be so on brand for the Vikings.
Case Keenum, Christian Ponder, Tavares Jackson, outside of Kirk and Brett Favre. And people forget, like, everyone's like, oh, Randall Cunningham's the GOAT. He was not when we brought him back.
Nope.
Like, he was washed, according to everyone in the league, right? And these are all deep playoff runs we had with scraps that nobody
Yeah.
else wanted. Like, this team, sometimes its most enjoyable years are the ones you're most shocked by who the quarterback is.
Yeah. Expectations are low for, the usual. But again, it either way, it should be a really fun year. Darnold can sling the ball around. He has the receivers to do so.
He
So
can move
he
more
can
than
move.
Kirk. Not as much as JJ, but more than Kirk.
Exactly. So I mean, regardless of how this year turns out, I believe it's gonna be a fun year. Last year wasn't always fun. It had its fun moments.
Bro, that season felt like at least I think it felt like four distinct seasons. You had the 1-4, then
Yeah.
you had 5-0,
Oh
which
man.
can in itself be split to JJ post Justin Jets. I can't call him JJ
Yeah,
anymore.
got calm
Post
Jets now.
Jets injury, post after Dobbs mania, which itself also went to two pieces, and then Mullins madness. Like it was,
Yeah.
bro. That was how did we survive? How did we? How?
I don't know, man. We just took it a week at a time. We just
Oh
took it a week
man,
at a time, man. But
that
again,
is.
as Vikings fans and as our history shows, we are in it until the last week or two. And that's exactly what it was last year, regardless of the injuries to Kirk and Justin Jefferson and everything else we had going on. We were still in the mix for it up until the second to last week, or was it the last?
No,
I think it was the last week.
even the last week, there was technically a scenario where I think Seattle and somebody else had to lose and we
Hmm.
had to win. It was, and like by the time the game, like by the time we reached the fourth quarter, it was already
Yeah, we
decided we
already
were
knew.
out. But
Yeah, we already knew. So, but again, it's going to be a fun season this year. I'm excited for it. Like I said, Jason's going to be there at Skullfest for the home opener. But before Skullfest, we have a week 1 matchup against the Giants. What's your prediction for that game before we get up out of here?
dude, I go back and forth on this every day. I just it's so hard to know because we saw 8 passes from Darnold and 0 play from Aaron Jones. Like I know I would say I know what Addison can do, but I don't know if he's going to be in. I think he will.
Yeah,
I
he
just
will.
have to stay optimistic. We know what Jets can do. I don't know is Oliver there's so many factors. I think
Johnny
if
Munt, baby.
I think we win and I can guarantee I'm going to make a guarantee that if we keep it to 1 turnover between Aaron Jones and Sam Darnold, 1 turnover less, there's no reason we shouldn't win.
Okay,
But I
I can see
think
that.
with our interior offensive line, Lawrence coming up the middle, there's going to be a lot of
Problem.
opportunities for pressured throws, for strip sacks, or for Jones getting
Hmm.
stuffed and maybe or a botched handoff. That's where I'm most concerned about. Um, but we're gonna win 24-17. Call it.
Okay. I could see it right around that score. I
I
think
don't
it's
think
gonna
it's
be
going to be a 55 to
no,
45 game.
no way, no way. I regardless of the situation we're in with our secondary, the back end of our defense, which not the safeties, it's more so just the corners. And actually, I can't even say that now. We got Stephon Gilmore, we got Byron Murphy, and we have Shaq Griffin, who should be healthy enough to
Excuse me.
start.
Do not forget this year's Ivan Pace in the defensive backfield.
Oh, and Ivan Pace in the defensive backfield.
I said, yeah, he's our undrafted rookie, but he's in the defensive backfield. Dwight McGlothern, come on.
Yeah, well, Dwight, I don't
No,
think he'll be
no, no.
starting. I don't
I
think
don't
he'll
know
be
if he'll be
starting.
starting. He'll be in. They'll put him in. He'll rotate in.
He'll get some work. He'll get some work. But again, I think this defense has improved. I think it's gonna be a lot low, not a lot more low scoring than what you said, because 24-17 isn't some shootout. But I think it's gonna be around the 19-14 kind of area, right around there. So I think it's just gonna be some weird score, low scoring. Daniel Jones can't move the ball. I think Darnold may struggle a little bit. But I also wouldn't be surprised if we go out there and put up 30 points. And I also
That'd
wouldn't
be
be
fun.
surprised if, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we go out there and we give up 24 points to Daniel Jones and the Giants. So
I don't know.
it,
I think Jones might be going into this game with some misconceptions after last time. And he's also
yeah,
missing his top receiver from that game and his running back from that game. And he's going up against an entirely different group
yeah.
led by B-Flow now.
Oh, most definitely. And he's looked so terrible in preseason. He's looked so freaking bad. But we'll wrap it up there, guys. I know Jason's got some things to do. He's over there, the flu podcast. I know he's got to get some rest. So we're going to let him do so. But thank you guys for tapping in as always. Again, we're a week away from Minnesota Vikings
10
football.
days.
Yep. Meaningful Minnesota Vikings football. So I'm excited. Enjoy college football tonight. Looks like the Gophers are just now kicking off for all you Minnesota
They
fans.
got delayed. They got
Did it get
delayed to
delayed?
anyone. Yeah, there's like a tornado warning.
Oh, shit. Well, I think the
NDSU is playing Colorado right
Yeah.
now, which is also glad I get to watch that a little bit.
Yeah, so enjoy your college football. It's kicking off. That week 0 last week, week 1 this week. It should be a fun night tonight, and then it continues on Saturday, and then next Sunday, man, it's the real deal. So appreciate you guys tapping on. See most of you guys at Skol Fest in 2 weeks, as well as Jason. So be on the lookout for us. Again, appreciate you guys for tapping in. It is your boy SK with Purple and Skol Media. Till next time, peace.